The Content-Aware Patch tool allows us to replace large areas with background areas. I'm going to try using it for the plaid jacket in here, but I'm not going to be totally successful because of one of the characteristics of this tool. And the main characteristic is that it likes to blend. That'll be fine for the top of the plaid jacket, but not for all of it. I've already made a selection just to save a little bit of time, but I'm going to load that selection up of the plaid jacket. And I want to extend my selection beyond that. So I'm going to hit Select, Modify, Expand. I'll expand by about 5. And then I'm going to modify again and feather by a few. Now the reason for expanding and feathering is that you want to be able to blend the area that you're selecting into its background. And if you make too tight a selection, the edge can show. The tool that I'm going to use first off is going to be the, let's see if we can get to it right here, the patch tool. Now the patch tool is in that same menu patch with the spot healing tool and the history brush tool and the content aware move tool. And speaking of content aware, I'm going to choose that as my mode, not normal but patch. Having made that selection, I can now just go to this tool. I'm going to be sure that I'm on the right layer. I'm going to be sure that I'm on the image layer. And I'm going to simply change where the outline is to an area that I want to use for patching. Now this doesn't have to be as precise as you might think because it's going to try blending. But I want to get something that looks logical. That's about right. Should be fine at the top but not so much at the bottom. Okay, the area down here on the right hand side is attempting to blend much too much. But I have taken care of most of the hard work here, so I just have to refine it by using the regular clone brush tool. I'm going to deselect now, and I'm simply going to choose the regular clone brush. Make sure that you don't choose the pattern stamp tool, but the regular clone brush. And I'm going to option click in an area that I'm going to select from. Oops, I'm on darken. I want to make sure that I'm on regular right now. Normal. There we go. I want to keep as much of that original shadow as possible. The shadow helps us give us a sense of dimensionality and get rid of all of this false blending area in through here. Okay, now I'm going to shift to darken because what I want to do is to simply use the shadow that's already there right up here, and I'm going to use that to give me a little bit of extension on this shadow. And I'm not going to click aligned this time. We usually use that aligned, but I want to be able to repeat strokes because that might be easier. And I'm going to option click right here on the outsides of that shadow, and I'm going to try to blend in a little bit. Every time you pick your mouse up, you start all over again. Now the edge of that is just a little bit too hard for my taste. So I think what I'm going to do is to just soften that edge up a little bit. I'm going to go before I made that kind of change here and select that as my history state to go to. Remember, history allows you to go back to an earlier state. You access the history brush by just hitting the letter Y. And I'm not going to use 100% opacity, I'm just going to use about 60%. That's close enough. And this softens up the edge of my shadow here, making it perhaps a little more believable. And that shadow also had a little bit of a dent in it because of where the lapel came. So I think we can probably get that a little bit in there. Maybe I went overboard with that stroke. There we go. And that looks pretty good to me. So here we have then a plaid removal with the minimum amount of work using two different tools.